Welcome to my inn.
To where?
You want some ale?
Ale?
Grab a
Let's-
seat.
Do you play it?
Welcome back to Witcher Bloodletting, episode 8. Campsite.
That's-
Is this episode 8?
Is it 9?
Is it 9?
Nine.
Oh, it is
Yeah.
9. Holy crap. That's funny. I
Was
was
it?
like, wait a
Was it?
second, it's episode 9, but when I set up the thing earlier, I only changed the name and not the number. So that is
You want-
episode 9.
You weren't in our ears enough for that. We want it right in there.
Okay, here we go. Session 9.
Everyone turn up your volume.
All right, so it is going to be welcome to Witcher Bloodletting Session 9, Campsite Tales. Yay! As I had said, you guys had approached the camp. It's not that you were late or any stretch like that. It's just that the others are very, very early compared to what you were expecting. So that being said, your character's routine, how would you come rolling in? Would any of you also be obnoxiously early? Would any of you show up late? Or you'd be relatively on time for being there for about dawn?
Boringly, relatively on time, I
Okay.
guess.
I assume that's kind of like the uniform answer. Cool. So when you guys show up, it's exactly as I just described. So when she's there, she almost immediately, like I said, she squares you guys off. She starts giving instructions. So we're going to have a little bit of a mini game play out right here to see how kind of things happen. So I want you guys to fight against your opponents to see how things play out. Now, again, these are NPCs. We're not doing a full-blown combat that would take way too much time, waste everybody's time. So these are NPCs you're going against, and you guys are very skilled. So we're going to do you first, Witcher son. This is going to be messy. If you could actually do me a favor and have me roll me a with advantage, just like an attack roll. And this is going to represent your fight, your dog in this fight.
Sorry, head bastion sheet open and attack roll.
Si, senor.
Like with fists.
No, with your weapon out. Yep, you train
Ready?
with weapons. She has you guys have real weapons out, but you know how to pull your shots and all that. So your attack against this your opponent is just
Witcher
very.
sensei.
It's very handed. You easily defeat your opponent. When I say easily, I mean like literally. They come at you. You step to the side. You step to the side, not like trip them or anything like that. That's not your style. You step to the side quickly, allowing them to completely throw off their guard. You come swinging at them with the sword in a way that throws them even further off their guard. You take a half step forward. They fall on their ass. You have your sword to their face. We're talking, you don't even have to touch them. You know what I mean? After that's going to be Tal. Tal, you will go against your opponent. Same idea. Once again, with advantage, you're actually able to roll your attack roll too, sir.
I feel like I should have intentionally thrown.
Let me see. Did I accidentally mess with my spear? No,
Wow.
I didn't.
Something as simple as clicking a button. It's a conversation with him. So, same as the other one. I mean, you're not as skilled at fighting people as you are at fighting drachnids, right? But that doesn't change
I'm
the
using
fact
a spear against a dwarf, though.
that doesn't change the fact that you have reach upon reach against this guy. So it's literally every time he tries to come in, you're just like, and you keep him at bay. And it's literally like he eventually has to make his way in, because if he just gives up and doesn't try, clearly he's going to be accosted for it. So eventually he's able to slap the spear out to the side, allowing him to like charge in at you with his sword at the ready to attack you. Obviously he's not intending to harm you, just to win the fight, right? And literally as he smacks out to the side, you just take that momentum, continue spinning the spear around, then the side of his head, and send him like reeling off to the side. He's a dwarf, so the side of his head's not quite enough to knock him down. You follow up with like a quick 2-step and a kick to the chest, and it throws him down onto his back. Spear is now at him. Bran, it's now your turn with your opponent. No magic allowed, of course. You get to roll normal check.
I figured.
Attack roll with your.
I see.
Remember your footwork, Bran.
And actually, Bran holds
decent.
his own. It's a back and forth for a considerable amount of time with the dwarf, and actually it ends up being one of those things where it goes on for so long as the two of them are just handily defeating their opponent time after time after time. She eventually switches them to different opponents time after time, and you're still going back and forth with this dwarf. Maybe he's just more skilled than the others. Maybe it's just you're not as skilled as the others. But you actually, more or less, she has to break it up because you guys never have a definitive win. It's like sometimes he seems to have an advantage, sometimes you. It seems to be a draw. DC was actually a 13 for you, so so it actually seems to be a draw, and so you that actually does better than what she expects. So after like watching this
Better than what I expected.
after watching all this play out and everything, after watching all this happen, she eventually comes over and starts giving you guys commands of like better ways to hold your weapon, better ways to present yourself, and actually works with you a bit more. You're squared off against different opponents at a time. Each of you have an opportunity to fight against Bran. You're welcome to roll if you'd like. Would you like to roll against Bran? No.
Wait, we're squaring off against Bran?
Yeah, I mean, would you like to roll against Bran?
Sure.
Okay, Bran, you roll normal. Messy, you first. You roll with advantage.
I want to roll and throw. I want to throw this one.
Wait, you wanna just intentionally lose?
I want to intentionally lose.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But in a way that's like really even.
Yep.
And then I'll whisper something to Bran. I'll be like, go low. And then I'll go for like a high stab and he'll get me low before I get him high. Something like that.
You're going to have to roll deception and you're rolling it flat. But Bran, you get to roll deception with advantage.
I'm going to fuck this up for you, Bran. I'm sorry.
Assuming you go along with it, Bran. Oh! Are you kidding me? This is craziness.
This is the most useless thing to roll 220s on.
I know.
So it is one of
Little
those like
flavor text.
he barely defeats you in this fight, but it's one of those like there's a hard fight back and forth, and he barely defeats you. And so like after watching this happen, eventually Bran like gets you on the ground and has like the sword at your side, down to your throat and everything. Bran's able to like help you up, and she's watching after the two of you guys and watching all this happen, sees it play out, and she actually gives Bran like a solid nod. To this point, she's for the most part ignored Tal, like occasionally going over there and giving like a barking order to change his footing or to thrust harder or whatever it might be. Ignore that.
Excuse me.
But for the most part, she ignores him and gives more orders to the one that he's facing as opposed to him himself. But like I said, that was
in a diamond.
that played out exactly as you had hoped it would. It's literally
yeah.
the two of you are in perfect unison with one another. After seeing that play out, she doesn't even have Bran fight what's his face, Tal. She actually then goes over and has Tal fight against Leonard. Now, in this scenario where the two of you guys are fighting against each other, you are welcome to use Witcher Sense if you feel as though it's important for your character to win this fight. But I do have to be a little mean here because of the fact that Witchers have keener reflexes and all that stuff. Tal's rolling normal and Messy's rolling with advantage.
Oh, okay.
Let's no witches.
Welcome to the human club.
No witches sin.
No
Whoa,
Witcher
whoa,
sense.
whoa, whoa,
Just
whoa,
use
whoa.
rule. No
1v1
Witcher
me.
sense. All right, Rust quick scopes only. A combat roll.
Ooh, that's a good start.
That is a good. All right. I want to.
Get some, Master Witcher.
It doesn't really matter what I roll because it's just an attack roll. It's not damage. So I'm going to be cocky and use a dagger. And it cost me.
Oh!
It
So-
cost me.
You come forward at him, and unfortunately, because you're cocky and you're using the dagger, same as with the dwarf before, it's almost like Tal's like, what is the matter with you? And he's able to easily keep you at bay with the spear. Eventually, he's able to kind of like slap the spear out wide and come rushing forward. Not out wide in the same way as the dwarf, where it was like a hard hit out wide. It's more of like as he comes to swing at you with the spear once, you actually step underneath it and just give it a little tap, so it's just a little bit of an overthrow, and he's able to come rushing at you and start taking a strike with a spear. With his dagger, but he's able to bring the hilt of the spear down to block it, and the two of you get tangled up for a moment before Tal is able to, because once again, you have your unarmed combat that you're just so good at. You're able to take a moment to literally give him like an open hand wrap to the side of his head. Not that it was a bitch slap or anything like that. It was just enough to throw his senses off that you can actually take
How
a
can
step,
she slap?
take a step and a half back to keep him at the pole's edge, and then you continue to like lengthen that out so there's a big gap between the two of you. You guys go back and forth for a long while until eventually you do end up losing Leonard. So you end up coming to a conclusion is you can't get close enough to him, and he has many lethal strikes he could take against you, but doesn't follow through with them. Not that you couldn't necessarily downgrade the quality of that strike, but he has the advantage the entire combat. Exactly. He has the advantage the entire combat. Anyways, after watching this play out, because it's important to see Witcher v. Witcher, she does then turn to Leonard, who's fought the most so far out of everybody, and she has you face her.
Fuck.
I think it is worth noting at this point, like, Tal is like, you can see a glisten. He's like, his forehead is dripping with sweat after this combat.
Oh, sweaty.
Leonard's like, yeah.
I imagine Tal is just very happy that he's pouring with sweat, and like almost immediately afterwards, she's like, "Now it's you and I, little girl," and she's like, "Oh," having barely won the
Bran
fight.
is. I don't mind a dying man.
And so she goes to square off with you.
Okay, so I'm assuming I'm rolling flat because we're both Witchers.
So before you roll, what's your tactic?
I'm going to play defensive and try to dodge and learn more from her than she'll learn from me, if possible.
Your parry.
So
I'll parry a bit too. Yeah, like I'll let her swing at me. I just want to learn her style more than I want her to learn mine.
So one of the things that you are going to experience as you're fighting with her is that as she's coming at you and you're dodging and you're parrying, you're trying to move to the side and so on and so forth. As you're trying to more observe her style than you are trying to actually combat her herself, she is just so powerful. She comes at you so strong that unfortunately you end up fumbling the attempt to fight against her and even stay out of her reach and whatnot. As you go to like parry an attack, she's so much force behind it. She actually blasts through your parry and gets you like pinned down to the ground at times. You like roll away, have your legs whipping around over your head, then back up onto your feet, moving with much. You're much more ninja-like than anybody else in the party.
Beeline grace.
With exactly the grace and precision by way that you're able to move yourself and kind of dodge out of combat. But every time you think that you're able to step back or step out of the way, she's right there in your face. The sheer ferocity of her approach is just so incredibly intense. So at one point in time, as you're just failing miserably to stay out of her reach, which is your typical tactic, evade and needle strike, evade and needle strike. That's your typical tactic. You eventually realize you just can't evade, and your only option in this fight is to try to attack. And so at one point in time, you do that. You straight on attack, and because you're trying to like send a message like I am no fool here, you actually do make a pretty handed strike against her. And as the blow comes to land against her, she literally will stop and even lower her guard so it smacks against her armor, and you can see there is no way in hell that ever would have penetrated through the skins, through the armor, and through the chain and other clothing she has underneath. You get this idea that you don't even know if you can hurt her. And she's just so skilled at this kind of 1v1 combat, something that is not your forte, that you just fail miserably against her. And so when the combat comes to a close with you fumbling so hard against her, she just kind of regards you as she looks you down and says, "You move quickly, but not quick enough, and you think you have strikes that's you think you strike with precision." But they have no force behind it. You need a lot of work. You need a lot of work indeed. And then she'll actually will give like to the rest of you. Actually, will tell them to more or less go off, take a break. Your training this morning's over. The whole training session having lasted about 4 hours time. Eating away the whole morning. Every one of you is like starving at this point because you have, and Witchers eat a lot. Every one of you is like starving at this point because you haven't eaten breakfast yet. You've been doing all this fighting. Most of you are very parched because you haven't had much water. But she actually is going to turn to Bran, and she says, "Except you. You stay here."
All right.
And so as the rest of you filter out, the 7 dwarves filter out, the 2 of you guys, do you kind of like fuck off for a little while? Do you stay back?
I'll on my way out, I'll come up to Bran and I'll like put my hand on his shoulder, and I'll be like, "All right, Bran, I got you in the door. Now you got to go slay the beast." I'll give him a tap and I'll walk off.
Tal will also come up, like in that sort of, put a hand on the shoulder and say, "Will you be all right with her? Not many friendly faces for humans round here.
I think I'll be fine.
Want me to hang about?"
No, it's good. She wouldn't
Right,
do anything.
I'm gonna
right
go
under
find
their
some-
noses.
Some breakfast. I'll save you some.
You'd better.
He says, whimpering in his little boots.
They leave, and you're left behind with her. And for the first time ever, since you guys had met her, she actually will turn to you, and she says, "Jun Run."
Ran Helder.
She gives you a nod. Again, first time introducing herself. She gives a nod, and she says, "You fought well. Better than I would have expected. Where have you received training?"
I haven't actually. Most of it was just improvised on the run. You do learn a couple of things here and there through necessity.
Some of them ways that you moved. You move the way that a witcher has trained. You watching them?
I've traveled with them for a while. You do pick up things after a while.
Been with them for how long?
I think it's like I don't know, a couple weeks now, maybe.
Yeah, several weeks, over a month, whatever it is. I'll actually go back and look it up at some point in time. It's important to have on the notes. So, she nods. She says, "Then you're a quick learner." And when she says that, she's actually going to go over to the side where she has a few other supplies that are sitting there, where she like gave out some of the weapons for them to use, and most of them like put some of the weapons back. Others, grabbed up other things they had brought with them for the training. Because you imagine while these are just peoples in the camp, everybody in the camp has to be able to defend themselves and be able to fight off attacks and so on and so forth. So they have their own supplies, and then she has supplies that she lets them use for the training. Real weapons, but a bit blunted. So she goes over to where she has some of those supplies, and she actually picks up it's like a sack. The sack isn't super ornate or anything like that. It's a burlap sack that she pulls out of where she has the other things, and she actually will draw from the burlap sack a small baton that happens to be inside there. So the baton itself is made out of very, very, very dark type of wood. You're not familiar with it. Maybe it's the type of stain that they use, maybe it's the type of wood that they use, but whatever it is a baton that's there. It has like the handle carved into the wood, has a little bit of a hand guard, not really much ones at all, maybe about 2/3 the size of the handguard you'd find on a katana. And then as it goes from like the base of the handguard up to the end of it, it does gradually get a little bit thicker, seeing that it's a bit heavier at the ends. Not a bulb end, but kind of like how a baseball bat does, just much smaller in size. And she walks over with the thing, and she hands it to you.
Alright, I take it in and inspect it for a moment.
Sure. So you're looking it over, and you can actually see it's incredibly smooth as you run your fingers along the grain of it and whatnot. It is incredibly smooth to the touch. Now, in the real world are very spoiled in the kind of experiences that we have. If you walk into a furniture shop or go to a friend's house, your own house, and you run your hands along an actual wooden table as opposed to like an IKEA thing, you feel things are extremely smooth because we have very, very high grit sandpaper that didn't really exist in medieval ages and stuff like that. We also have the ability to urethane and wet sand that down super smooth as well. But in worlds like this, for the most part, that doesn't exist. Things have a very gritty feel to them. There's a lot of texture to it, so on and so forth. When you run your fingers along this, it is incredibly smooth. It is very, very fine. It's almost a perfect surface. It's only like the extended amount of time that you spent stroking the baton that you're able to find the slight imperfections here and there on it. So it's clearly very good craftsmanship.
Yeah, and I comment this is very well made.
She nods when you say that, and she actually will tell you to give it like a good swing, and so swing in the air a little bit, and then to give you a target, she'll actually pick up a small buckler, and she'll actually hold it out for you, much like in martial arts classes you would have your master hold out like the little cushion things for you to punch and kick at. She actually holds this out for you to start like smacking at this thing with the wooden baton, for you to get practice, and you see hitting at from one side, from the other side, so on and so forth. And she's like allowing you to hit against it at these different angles. And honestly, it's one of those like your transition from one angle to the next shows how inexperienced you are with combat. And she sees that, and she actually will bark orders at you. And if this was your first experience, maybe that would throw you off, because you've already spent 4 hours dealing with that and seeing how other people have adapted to it. Again, you're smart. You quickly adapt to how she's giving the orders and following the commands that she's giving, getting you familiar with the weight of this thing, and so on and so forth. So you do this for a while, and after it's said and done, and she says, break, which means you get to take like a solid 2-minute break to catch your breath and maybe grab a drink of water. While doing so, you spend like an extra moment to like regard this thing. And like I said, that was a buckler. Bucklers are made out of wood, but they have metal bands on them, metal studs on them, and you definitely know you clipped those. There's not a single dent on this little wooden baton whatsoever on it. Do you say anything to her, like as your break comes to an end, or you just allow it to continue playing out?
I will shortly, I'll basically say, like, you know what you're doing. This is going to be helpful.
She says, I found it after a job. It was the birthday gift from a noble to his son. Unfortunately, he died that day.
Now you can beat all the commoners at school, Jerry.
Unfortunately, he died that day. It was a small school of... It was a small a group of sorcerers that had trained... sorcerers, whatever they are. That were training together. And they were raided. And they were killed. Not by witch hunters, but by the beasts of the area. They weren't prepared for it. And so his life was taken the day he had received this gift, before he had learned to truly hone his skill into it. That's not just any wood that baton is made out of. That is a very unique type of wood. It comes from deep within Dryad's forests. It is very in tune with the magics of the world. It's very in tune with the elder blood. She says, now come. Stand ready. And she starts giving you, having you give like 2 or 3 hits against it to get like familiar with it. And then she says, stop. And she's like, I want you to dig deep within yourself. I want you to find that focus that you have. The focus that you use when you use your magics. I want you to find what that is that hides deep within you. And focus on this baton.
And it generates a portal.
And so as you're like doing that, as you're like focusing on it, more or less you can spend a sorcery point.
Yeah, I would first like take off the little charm, like.
Mm-hmm. She sees you take off the charm. She notes it because she can see like, the charm itself. She notes it, and you toss it to the side. She doesn't say anything.
Yeah. Okay. I'll start focusing my magical energy and spend a sorcery point.
Okay. And you spend a sorcery point. And then this time, when you attack at the shield, could you actually do me a favor? Could you roll me, and this is actually fun for you, because I'm not going to be mean and make it based off of a physical stat. You can actually roll me an Arcana check, and you get to do so just roll me a flat Arcana check. You're good at Arcana. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So when you roll this Arcana check and you swing at her once again with the focus on the baton, you can feel your power emanating through you down your arms into your hands and into the baton itself. And as you connect with that shield, the force of your magic actually smashes into that shield and sends the shield shattered and splintering in all different directions. Some of them are flying off to the side, up to the sky, splattering back at you. But some of them actually dissipate entirely. They actually almost seem to disappear out of this world. You can see them with the same kind of eerie glow that happens when you open portals around you. They seem to become that color, glowing with that sparkling color for a moment before just disappearing entirely. The shield is destroyed and not even entirely left behind with all of its bits.
I just like stand there for a moment, like I like look at like the stuff that actually disappeared. It's like, oh my.
So as you like say oh my and you take that in, she doesn't say anything to you whatsoever. She just
destroyed my stick.
She just turns and grabs up the supplies that she had brought over here, and like hoists them, throws them over her shoulder, and then walks past you, heading back to whatever she's going to do with the rest of her day.
She's mad. She's mad at you. She's not talking to you all day, dude.
She of course.
It's all right, Bran. You pounded her.
She of course leaves you with the baton.
Yeah, as she walks by to leave, I say, thank you.
She says nothing. She doesn't
says,
nod,
whatever.
doesn't wave, nothing.
Whatever.
Okay. So, you know, a bit more of the day passes as you guys are trying to figure out what you're supposed to be doing, and so on and so forth. Before finally the leader will call to speak with you guys once again. This is much later in the day, early evening, when Zadal will actually has to speak with you again.
So we had a few hours. We have a few hours
Please.
between that and the meeting with him again.
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right. So I guess at breakfast, while Derp's doing his whole blowing up sticks thing.
I'm beating a baton, yeah.
He blew up a buckler. Thank you.
Sure. So Talabast and I assume I would take some breakfast over to Bran and his or not Bran, Bastion in his little cage, and checking on him, make sure he's okay. But when we're eating, hey Talabast, can I ask you a question? How did you learn mastery with that spear?
Well, soon as I could hold a crossbow, my dad started teaching me, and then as soon as I could hold a spear properly, he started teaching me as well. He was a reaver, a proper reaver. Yeah.
You don't consider yourself a proper reaver?
No. I left that life behind.
Oh, I see.
They're not really what they could be. They should be humanity's answer to witches, at least for draconids, but often there's little distinction between them and common mercs.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Us cats have been under some scrutiny, similar scrutiny in the past. I was hoping that I would be able to do something about it when I was at the academy, but you know, you win some and you burn some, right?
Tal will sit up and lean forward and clap you on the shoulder. Well, you changed my mind.
About witchers? At least some of them?
Especially cats.
Don't trust the cat. Except for me. Don't trust any other cats.
Right.
All the good ones are dead now. Don't worry about it.
Except you.
Right, yeah, of course, sorry. But I was going to say, your spear work is remarkable. Do you think maybe you could teach me how to use that? During free time throughout our adventures.
I never expected a witcher to ask to learn from me, but of course,
Maybe I can return the favor with some other knowledge, if you...
Yeah, that would be... I have to say, I'm mighty interested in your blade oils. It seems like something we wouldn't really be able to... Well, you get what I mean, right? A blade oil is an edge that a common person can't have, but could learn. A witch's potion. I drink one of those, I die. But a blade oil could potentially be useful. But yeah, I think you'd be quite well suited for a spear, actually. You've got the right sort of form. Your footwork's pretty good as well. So, I think you could get up to speed real easy. Need to get a spear, of course.
Right, yeah. And for the blood oils thing, I actually do have a few rotting corpses in my bag we could probably take some pieces from.
Oh, you, right. Yeah, of course. You make them from corpses.
Yeah, we'd probably have to find, like, some kind of cooking pot that they don't mind us using for corpses. But, we could probably brew something up. I can show you a few basic ones, maybe.
Well, thank you, Leonard. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. And I guess that's what we spend our day doing.
Okay. So you guys spend your time like working on that, probably finding a proper spear. Tal maybe asking about spears and realizing even though he's the best for finding the one that's the style that he's willing to try to teach you with, probably shouldn't be the one asking for them. And then you would go over and actually like acquire the spear and
Right.
whatnot. So you're able to get
Little dwarf spears, are they regular sized?
a regular size. Yeah. So dwarves,
They're like
even though dwarves
dwarf
are short.
pikes.
But even though dwarves are short, they actually use mostly, for the most part, normal-sized weapons because they're very
Cool.
stout. So the extra length doesn't matter to them.
Cool.
So drop the extra whatever because it's going to be a completely normal spear, but you can spend the 2 gold or whatever it is to get a new spear for yourself.
Sure, yeah.
No extra charge. And you guys require that. You spend time kind of like working on a few things together. Eventually, the 3 of you get pulled in to speak to Zodan, Zadal. So when you go to speak to him again, he actually has, this time there is the boy that's standing behind him, and there is a guard that's standing opposite where you guys are, the female guard that's there. And so when you guys are having the conversation, so you invite you in, let you have a seat. But this time, when you seat in front of like the 3 different seats that are there before you, it's actually a small stone cup. It's it's not like it's a goblet or anything like that. It almost looks like you would say a whiskey cup or whatever be, but made out of stone. And there is a liquor poured into it, and he has one in front of him as well. And so when you guys say he'll actually raise his glass, and not like looking for clinks or anything. Do you guys raise your glass as well, or your stone?
I would.
I guess, yeah.
Yep.
To be
And
polite.
He'll take a swig of his. It's his is filled quite a bit more than you guys, but it's a hearty swig, like more than a shot's worth of liquor goes down his throat. Each of you guys take your drinks as well. For the Witcher, dwarven liquor is nice because you can actually feel it, but like it's like what wine would be to a normal person. You know what I mean?
I'll fake a little bit of an extra reaction to it, just a smidge.
Okay, the other 2 don't really need a fake. It is intense, but Tal, you drink a lot. Dwarven stuff kind of does, burn a bit going down, but you drink alcohol like water. So, you with your broken liver, and so you guys are. It's gonna be a good critical hit against you. Somebody hits you in your liver, it explodes.
No, they're gonna hit me, and he's gonna be like, huh, "That's already dead."
It's full of gravel.
So anyways, you guys are invited to sit down. You do have the drink, and he says, I've had to spend some time contemplating this situation, and I don't like the position that we're all put in no more than you do, but I understand the situation.
Great. That's good to hear.
I'm willing to work with you in hopes that this isn't your ploy to get close to me to accomplish this task.
Again, just don't tell us anything. That's all.
I don't intend to, but there are others that you're going to have to worry about, and inevitably the witch hunters will need to fall.
On that we can agree.
You've met with Malvoon. I will clear the sign on the back of your friend's hands.
What's this guy's name again?
Jodal.
Jodal,
Sorry,
okay.
Zodal.
All right, continue. Thanks.
Yep.
I'll chime in when it's my turn.
He says, I'll clear the sign off the back of your friend's hands. Appropriate notice will be given that you have gained enough of my trust that you may work with that. Sorry, my apologies. That Malvoon will be willing to work with you. We'll see if we can come to a conclusion that benefits everybody.
That sounds good.
Help members of the Scoia'tael Dwarven Camp. 0 out of 4 villagers helped. Quest pops up.
He says, my apologies. He says, I've spoken to Jen Run in ways that she believes. This is the first time you guys have probably heard the name, unless Brandon filled you in earlier. I've spoken to Jen Run of ways that you might be able to aid the camp, if that's something that you're interested in.
I would be happy to lend my services to you.
We were told to earn your trust, so it fits into the parameters of the contract. We are allowed to help you.
There are a couple of issues in the area. I imagine you don't have time to handle both of them. One, my scouts, my daughter. She has seen that there are other scouts in this area. They're working their way on the perimeter. They haven't found the camp yet, so I imagine they haven't fully sent word back yet. But it won't be long before they find out exactly where we are, and we need to find another location. I do not wish to send my scouts forward to engage in them, because I do not know how many they have. And I could lose valuable assets in the task. If you'd be willing to slow down their ability to find my camp, I would greatly appreciate that. More than that, there is a growing concern not far from here. There was a bit of a plague that hit the creatures that lived not far around this mountain. It's nothing that was unnatural as far as we can tell. Malvoon did look into it. It seems as though a natural plague has hit the plants and affected the animals. And so there is a lot of creatures that have dropped dead. Because of that, it has attracted other creatures. I don't know their name, but they eat on the flesh of the dead, and sometimes the living. They have not made their way to our camp yet, but they are encroaching faster. If you would like to solve either of these issues, it would be greatly appreciated by me and my people. But I know that your task is one that's might be something that requires time to break this contract. You said you must contemplate the wording of it. Maybe you have time for neither. Two more questions.
Now we're locked in like this freeze frames. Like,
Yeah.
do we do this? Do we do that? Or do we do nothing?
It's like the Telltale game where you drag your mouse and it like he like looks and it's like red.
Yeah,
and he looks and it's like blue and he looks down the middle and it's like Ghouls are pretty easy for a Witcher. I don't know how they are for some dwarves to handle. That might be difficult for them. And then some scouts. Ran into what? What did they run into again?
So they know that there's scouts that are closing in the area. Their scouts have seen other scouts in the area, but haven't been able to pinpoint how many and exactly where it is that they're camping up themselves. So they are imagining that the tone of the conversation leads you to believe probably witch hunters, because there's a fucking obnoxious number of them in the area, more than you've seen in any other area. Usually they travel in packs, but not like big groups like this. This almost feels like something very well coordinated, right? But anyways, but the details on that one are rather vague. You would have to get more details from someone else. Well, he would even. You don't know that yet. You can just say what you're going to say.
I think it'd be difficult for us to go and scare off scouts for the group we're supposedly working for.
Me and Bran could do it. I know that Bran wouldn't mind getting some revenge.
You read my mind.
And I don't necessarily have to kill any of them. Just pluck out all their eyes, right?
I imagine if there are any tongues left to waggle, word would travel back. I don't know how this works on your task. I need them not finding my area, and I need the area not linked to my people. But how it is you go about it and how that affects your relationship, I leave that to your discretion.
Dead man tell no tales. And he sort of smirks.
If we're gonna go after the scouts, we're gonna need disguises, because I am a very recognizable person.
Are you afraid that being invisible makes it hard to sneak up on them? You are a cat, after all. I thought you would be flexible.
Don't forget that we're still in direct communication with them. We still have the thing that we used to talk to them.
I imagine you probably say that somewhat under your breath or whatever, like almost leaning over a consult thing in front of this leader. He waits
This
until
is a big region, and scouts go missing for all sorts of reasons.
What if we took the bodies of the flesh eaters and strew them about the battlefield?
You want to lead one into the other?
Well, if possible. If not, just
How
put the
how
corpses-
far away are these two events?
We don't know where the scout camp is. That's a problem.
I know.
Oh, that's right.
I know where the beasts are. As I said, they're a bit north, around the mountain bend, and they're. If you know the exact trek, you can get there within a day and a half's travel. Push it hard, within a day. That's not a concern. I don't know how good you are at leading them across long distances. As for the scouts, as you've said, not far off from here. The closest we've seen them to our camp is what would be quarter day's travel on foot from here, but my scouts rarely travel that far. The fact that we noticed them was happenstance. They might even be passing through. Do you need more eyes on them?
I feel like if we were to take out the scouts, that would make our long-term goal of deceiving them, possibly setting up traps for them, a fair bit easier.
I'd say the opposite. I'd say it'd be a little bit more difficult. We want them to think that we're still on their side, and if their scouts start going missing...
You sound like you have much to deliberate, and I have my own things that I must attend to. My daughter, Brelka. You've met her before. You speak to her. She's the captain of the scout.
Right.
Brelka will give you the details of what she knows. She will inform you of things that you need. Other than that, again, you have freedom amongst the camp, and unfortunately, I will have to keep your friends continued to be bound, as it does look good to those that are here and the concerns that they have about your whereabouts. You have not proven your worth to everyone here yet.
I understand their caution and do not fault them for a moment.
I'm annoyed. But very well. One more piece of information for you, sir.
Please.
We may have accidentally actually weakened some of the witch hunters' numbers. I don't think they're as populated as they were, say, 2 weeks ago.
While that's heartening, my people are not strong enough to press an attack.
Right.
We can defend where we locked ourselves down well enough, but we cannot go on the offensive with our current assets and numbers.
What I mean by this is, if they're willing to send scouts out in this direction, they might be pushing for endgame here. You might need to be a little more careful. Because it doesn't seem they're wasting any time trying to build back up. They think they could take you and they're going to try. So just be
I'll
warned.
be wrong.
He nods, once again in appreciation. I will join you to meet with your friend to remove the mark from his hand, and then you may make your decisions of what it is you want to do from there.
Like,
So he actually will get up and walk out of this room with you. Once again, like you have the boy will walk out as well, but not follow beyond that point. And then the female guard that was in the area once again walks out as well, but doesn't follow him either. So it's just the three of you and him going over to where the camp is. Once again, there's that same dwarven guard that's there. With Bastion. They're actually having a light conversation with one another. So it's like Bastion says a joke. He laughs at it more than she does, but she gives a little chuckle, and It's not like he's having some sort of flirts that are going like very far or anything like that. It's just like he's making a friend. He's passing time. So he goes over, orders for the thing to be opened up, and takes the guy out. Has Bastion get out for a moment, and he ends up pulling out a small dagger from his side. And what he does is he actually uses that dagger to cut the back of Bastion's hand where the mark is. So Bastion, of course, doesn't really care that much. So it cuts open a bit. He actually cuts open like a prick in his thumb. So his own blood is pooling up in his thumb. And actually presses his blood into the pooled area in the back of Bastion's hands. And as it like meshes, melts together, you can see that the mark on the back of the hand starts to like fade away, and until it's completely gone. And
Bastion has hepatitis.
and lets him get back into the camp. They have like a quick conversation where he once again reminds him, I'm doing this for my people. It's a little bit lower here. He says, I'm doing this for my people, not against you, and locks the gate back up. Has the guard lock the gate back up, and you guys are actually with Bastion, and even the guard standing there. If you ask politely, the guard is willing to take several steps back to give you guys room to have conversation with Bastion or whatever, but you can kind of deliberate and decide what you want to do next. You open up your quest log. Well, let's see. The reward
Optional,
for this
go
one
after
is
scouts.
Yeah.
Optional, go after corpse eaters.
main
Ultimately,
quest.
if the dwarves kill the corpse eaters, they kill them. If they don't kill all the scouts, if even one gets away, they could all die.
The scouts in the area are going to complicate matters further.
Well, let's agree that the scouts are the biggest threat. But is that the threat that they need us for? Or can they handle that themselves?
Reminder, you can always speak to Brelka.
Yes. We could ask Brelka's take on the situation, but Zoldan made it sound like they're stretched in for resources as it is, and he was not willing to risk his scouts in a potential clash that might just draw more attention to the region.
We also have the benefit that we could potentially walk into their camp with all of them there, and then poison them as they sleep. We can pursue alternative means, whereas the dwarves would had to engage in a flat-out fight.
Yes.
So I think if you're willing to hold off on bloodshed, at least for a little while we try to delegate, then I'm willing to give the scouts a shot.
I'm willing to wait
Remember-
for days if it means I can feed them the poison myself.
Remember, you're clearly against killing the witch hunters, but remember your contract doesn't forbid you from killing them. It only states that you should join them in a final battle, a major battle, which this will not be, and also that you must gain the trust of the Scoia'tael. This is part of gaining the trust, so in effect, you're contracted to kill them.
No, not quite.
Not quite, but
See, the problem is we want both sides to trust us here. If we start killing the scouts of one side, I feel the witch hunters might be a little suspicious of what we found, might send more.
Bastion's input is like more or less, kill the witch hunters, but what if my, friend is with them?
We'll just ignore him and carry on thinking.
Yeah, he's in a cage. He's fine.
no, he's out
He's
of
in the
cage
baby
now, isn't he?
cage for a reason.
You guys walk away from it now.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Bastion.
All right, let's try the witch hunters. Sorry, let's try the scouts.
I feel like that would be in our best interest in the long term.
So you guys go to speak to Brelka, and again, you know who she is. He said you've met her before. She's the one that had engaged you guys on the outskirts before, that had ambushed you and shot the other guy in the leg. You haven't seen him around camp.
Was that her brother?
That she shot?
Yeah.
If you had asked around a little bit, no, he's not. He's a part
Okay.
of He's just a
I don't know
different
why I
dwarf.
thought it might have been a different. Sorry, it might have been a different D&D thing. That's fine, man.
No, that's fine. They had very different accents and whatnot too. So
Okay.
So when you go and you approach her, she sees you guys. She's actually at a spot where she's literally like working on her crossbow, like tightening a spot here and making sure it's restrung correctly and da 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 da. As you guys approach up, so she looks up at you as she sees you approaching, gives you like acknowledgement, but looks down to what she's doing, and says, "Excuse me, I'm sorry."
Ah, you are here for the optional quest.
Um,
Marvelous.
And she says,
Yeah, let's get more information about all of it before we make the finals.
can I investigate the crossbow she's working on and see if there's anything I can like suggest to her to change on it?
Yeah, you can roll me an investigation as you're rolling, as you're like having the conversation. So, or is this supposed to be as you're walking up or as you're having the conversation?
Yeah, as I'm walking up.
Then it's gonna be a perception.
Perception. All right. Either one's fine.
Unfortunately, no, you don't find anything that noteworthy. You're just
Okay.
working
When
on
you
it.
use a witch's sense?
No, it was just a conversation starter.
So, as you're walking up, she looks at you, like I said, to acknowledge you. Looks back down to her crossbow, and says, "He's still bitching."
I mean, you shot him in the leg.
And with good right, but nonetheless, I need my those that follow my commands to not want to take any form of vengeance.
I mean, to follow your commands.
Nods. What brings you over here?
We were told that there were some troubles in the area, and since you are captain of the scouts, you would be the best person to be able to fill us in on this.
There's a lot of troubles in the area. You're gonna have to be a bit more specific.
Alright,
Ghouls and
so-
scouts.
Ah, yes. Well, the ghouls, we've been able to find where they are. They're slowly making their way this direction. We don't think they'll get here probably, my best guess, a season's time. They might make their way around this way unless they get hungry or venture quicker or something. And then maybe they'll get here a bit quicker. As for the scouts, we've seen sign of, we believe that they are the witch hunter scouts. We've seen sign of them twice. They're back a bit, back into the Mahakan Mountains. I think they're looking for us inside them. They seem to come from a town to the east of here. It's the only place I think they could be holding up.
How far east?
There's a town not too far to the east. It's set inside the mountain itself. It goes by the name of Craig. You familiar?
Craig.
I like to call it Craig because it sounds cooler.
No.
She looks at you like you're an idiot. You know, like most
yes.
people.
We've had dealings in the town before. There might be a few less witch hunters now.
And a few less dwarves.
When you say that you have that, so when you say that, she actually looks to you like with curiosity, and then when you say a few less dwarves, her face sinks a little. She says, "There was a shop there." Or sorry, she says, "There's a shop there. You might have heard of it before. Physiques."
Yeah.
We were familiar with Physique himself.
Well, his name wasn't Physique, but the
It
guy
was
that ran
his-
the place.
The man
was
who
it?
owned Physique himself.
Yeah, his name was Talon. Where?
Were.
Unfortunately,
She looks
as you're well
towards
aware,
the rest of the camp for a few moments and looks back as Brent speaking.
witch hunters, they're very zealous. I'm sorry.
We weren't in town when they came by, and by the time we returned from the high mountains, it was too late.
He has Talon. He has twin boys. They're here. I say boys, they're men. They're of age. I sent them here for the cause. Brought many supplies with them when they did. One of their cousins
Well,
is here too. She's you would see her. She's usually guarding the cave entrance. They're not gonna
Well-
like this news.
No.
Oh,
It's a good thing that their dad sent them away. Otherwise, they'd be in the same situation as him.
You say you're looking to spill witch hunter blood. I'll have
no. Not if we can avoid it.
she's
Not yet.
You putting that like hard stop to it, you know, kind of like it's like she expects it, but it still upsets her. She takes a moment to like recoil for it, and then she continues. I'll get the scouts moving. Like I said, they're back east a bit. I'll get the scouts moving. We'll see if we can pinpoint where they are. There's a bit of delay in the information chain, so if we have word back here for you, it's going to be maybe a day old, but it's a trail to pick up on. Unless you want to come with us to the front. It'd be a lot more quick that way.
I look at Leonard like, our dear friend over here is quite sneaky when he wants to be.
Takes a day, say, if all goes well, to get the information back. If we rode hard on horseback, takes us a day to get to the corpse eaters.
And then a day back.
Problem with
So
the,
we'll definitely have the information by then.
problem with the scouts, where it is that we believe that they are. There's no horse riding there. It's in the mountains themselves. But the creatures that you're looking, if you're interested in them, the path there is mostly clear. Horses can make most of the way with a decent pace. Sometimes you'll have to dismount and guide them.
Leonard, we should do both. We can do it. You know we can. We've killed that, whatever it was. We can legitimately help these people, and whichever side of the deal we choose.
You know, there's a joke back at the academy. How many witches does it take to kill a specter? And the answer is 1 with Jurden, and all of them without. Do you see where I'm going with this, Telebast?
Not really. I don't know what Yerden is.
If we're going to do both, we need to be very careful about... Well, I don't think we could realistically do both in the allotted amount of time without splitting our forces. There's just too much at stake.
Yes, we cannot risk leaving the scouts after an assault. That would
And then we
jeopardize everything.
risk ghouls coming down if there is a battle and the corpses do stink up the place. We risk the town being ransacked. And
The corpse eater should still be a fair while away. It shouldn't, according to their estimates, it should take like a season if things go at the pace they're currently going.
right.
That's not because of distance. That's because of direction and speed that they're
They
moving. But
meander.
yes, just
Yeah.
as a reminder.
Like their territorial behavior and stuff. So that's like, yeah. They don't have a reason right now to come here.
If things go according to plan, they might get one.
That will take time though.
It would.
And the further we can delay the witch hunt is the more time we have to get the Scoia'tael in better shape.
So let's start with the witch hunters, and then go to the ghouls after.
That is my suggestion.
We know the witch hunters are more than a quarter of a day's walk from here.
It's not too bad. It'd take us an afternoon.
Delight. She's watching you guys deliberating for a bit. I imagine you step back. So if she's keenly listening, she can probably catch a few words, but not like full-blown conversation right in front of her.
To mention, once you do find tracks of the scouts, I could cast invisibility, and you would be able to basically walk among them. learn their number.
Here's my idea. Let me at least, and please join in on me with this one, but let's go purchase something to cover ourselves so that we don't look like a witcher, a source, and a drachnid hunter. Because those three things are pretty rare in these parts, and I think if they see one of us, they'll know who the other two are. Let's go get some disguises, something to cover ourselves, and then we'll go down that track.
At the same time, they know we're operating in the area, so seeing us might not be super uncommon. If we have caught wind of witch hunters being in the area and we have information to report, we could feasibly look up the scouts in the field.
I mean, we could just play dumb and say, yes, we're here looking for the Scoia'tael as well, but we've not had any luck, any chance of a warm meal.
They're scouts, they might be able to help us find the camp.
We're supposed to report back with any and all information we have that they can find useful.
She will at this point actually come forward, because clearly she's eavesdropping but only heard parts of it. She's actually to chime in and say, this task that you were given to hunt my people, how long ago was it given to you?
A couple days.
The first sign of these scouts, because I've said I've seen them twice, it was over a month, and the second time, near in 2 weeks. It's possible they don't even know of your dealings.
That is fair, they're forward elements. They tend to not be as well informed. Especially, like, it's only been a few days. Word would not travel that quickly. We could catch them unawares.
Our information train is pretty quick. That day's delay, because we are defending an area. They're not defending; they're scouting. I don't know how quickly they report back. I don't know if there's a runner or what they use to communicate. It's possible they have pigeons.
It would be unlikely that a runner from Cray came running. The situation there was pretty dire at the time. They would need time to lick their wounds, and that is exactly why I'm proposing that we strike at these exposed scouts. They would be none the wiser.
Disguises, then, would be beneficial, so that any witnesses can't report back with what they saw matching our descriptions.
No witnesses.
We don't have anything that would fit you lot here, she says, looking up at the height of all three of you.
Right.
If you were to head back to the town, though, I'm sure you could find things that you need there.
But that would be a longer time traveling.
Well, like as I said, my scouts need to find where they are. You can meet me where we met last time, and I will lead you from there. Head to the town, get your supplies, we'll meet there, and then I'll lead you to where we last saw the scouts. You can be part of our forward camp as we continue searching for where they are.
Leonardo.
Brelka, would you happen to know a way when in the town to contact Malvoon?
Yes, he's often seen at the flower shop. He uses the herbs.
I kind of smirk as like she says that.
You have a crush on Malvoon?
There's an awful lot of arcane knowledge that still needs to be deciphered, and it might be time to play a bit more of an open card now.
What, more open than telling everyone all of our plans?
I got you this far, didn't I?
Fair enough.
You'll find him usually in that area. He's got a bit of coin to him, so I know he's in the part of town that where people tend to have heavier purses.
Thank you.
I don't feel that disguises will be necessary for what we are about to conduct.
I don't, but they might come in useful later.
Maybe I just like fashion, okay? Maybe I just want to look good.
Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty of dashing witch hunter clothes by the end of it available.
Hey, can I metagame real quick?
Shoot, what's up?
Unrelated completely.
Is my fashion good?
No, a friend of mine has jury. He had jury duty yesterday, and I asked him if he got selected and has to go back today. And he responded by sending me a gift in Pokemon Go from the courthouse, because apparently the courthouse is a Pokestop.
That is
Nice.
amazing.
So I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. I can just imagine him sitting there on his phone like, come on, Charmander.
I will continue with this tangent for a moment. So I've been selected a bunch of times. So of course, you get the letter in the mail for jury duty, whatever. I've moved a ton of times. Again, I'm 30. I'm turning 33 this weekend. I've moved 27 times in my life. So oftentimes when you move, you actually don't get it because like you have to be in an area for long enough, whatever. So I very rarely have received them, but every time I go, because my last name is Davis, D-A-V, I actually will show up super late after they've already, because it's alphabetical order, after they've already gone to like the E's and the F's. So I have to sit there and wait till they finish it and go back around again to where my name is to call up. So I've literally never even been called to sit there and then replaced or anything like that. I've never been called to actually potentially be a member. It's just I've gone
Your
there,
secret is showing up a little bit late.
sitting in the waiting area, and just read a book
Gaming
the
the
entire
system.
time. Yep. And it's funny because I'll just show up with a book and just read and just like let my day pass.
I wish my last name was Aaron or something.
Yeah, with like that. Well, see, Davis is nice because you show up late enough that, but then they have to go back around through the Z's and back over to the ABCs again. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of ABC names, especially in this area. I don't know about the rest of the country, but definitely in this area. But all right, so fun little tangents. Why don't we take our little break, and when we come back, you guys are definitively going to say if you're going straight to the camp or if you're going to go first fashion.
No,
worry
we're
about
gonna
that
do
when we
another
come
half
back.
an hour
We
of
don't
umming
need.
and ahhing.
we don't
There's
need
no
that.
fashion that's gonna make Leonard's face
Quick
look
break.
good.
need fashion.
Bye. Bye. I gotta pee. Bye.
I'm hungry. I'm gonna go get some stuff.